someone. Cut that one. Oh, we're live. So
we're live. Okay, welcome everyone.
Yeah, let me. Well, let's give it. Let's give it a couple of minutes.
Yes.
Let's give it a couple of minutes, and man, this is a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. It's been a time of great huge shifts in a very short period of time. You
better believe it.
It was so swift. It came as a jot, and it really, the last one that was like that was in 2015 that I felt, and then 2012, and before, and then before that I felt that the same intensity. But this time was more radical. The jump was more radical.
Now you're talking about what period of time? Wait, let me just say hello to everybody. We got 30 some odd people in the house. Todd Medina, Soulspeaks 5D. We got Yukia on again. It's like her 4th or 5th time, and we're just talking about what's recently happened. And she's comparing it to 2015, something that she went through in 2015. So we're talking about the recent time. What is the time frame there? Is it the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What is it?
For me, it all got activated really from the 17th, onwards, and then I was in what I call a time loop of, where everything in the past, in the future, everything was happening at the same time, but in multiple layers, and I could see the whole screen, in multiple layers, which usually I see one window and then another window and then another window. But this time they were all overlapped, and I could see the multiple layers, and the different frequency bandwidths and harmonics playing in the different layers. How our reality is really constructed, not the illusionary one, but the real one, really playing out. I was inside, a complete grid line, and then the sound harmonics and the frequency that was playing inside the body, like in a serpentine type of movement, coming from the core of the earth, coming through my feet, up through the core of my skull, into and then from the galactic core, from the cosmic Milky Way, I felt coming down, in jot, but in a celestial harmonic sound, up and down, and then a serpentine movement with everything like almost like a re-Kundalini experience, awakening again, but jolts, and then blasts of heat and ice, lots of ice. I was called for, the 17th at night and the 18th, where I was preparing to do the healing of the waters and the earth, because we had teams around the world, of grid waters and gatekeepers that were prepared in local places around the globe to actually do the work that they needed to do locally. And then we also had teams remotely intending that healing, and I was really feeling at that time that I was the vulnerability of my vessel, because the ice kicked in, and I can usually handle the heat, but the ice, it's like, it's being it was really difficult to So I had to go outside. I had to throw the box out because I couldn't even go outside the box. I had to really request, emergency help, support, emergency support,
Right.
to pull
So
this through,
so you're saying that, okay, so I guess I just want to
Yes,
understand it because
yes,
you're covering a lot of ground. I want to cover some of this.
yes.
Uh, you what you're describing is part of your role,
Mm-hmm.
where you anchor in certain things, right? And like right now you're talking about the fire, the heat, and the ice, right? Is that
Yes,
what
the
you said?
fire and the water and the ice. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah.
So
Going through that with my body, feeling
yeah,
it through my body as the movements of the earth,
yeah,
as the earth was moving, and not only the earth, the
yeah.
cosmic movements. Um, yeah, and
And
please.
and with every, and just so for people that watch the replay or they're not familiar right now with you and your work, can you just kind of give a quick summary on what your role is, what you do?
My role is really changing, but up to this point, my role has been really to work at multiple levels, but I'll cover the planetary level, which is the gatekeeping work and the grid keeping, and the grid weaving, of Mother Earth, basically, and the interweaving with other planetary bodies when necessary. And of course, bringing the activations to do that work with groups in pilgrimages or in sacred temples for 15 years, doing that. At the same time, sharing, having been activated as a light language specialist, you can call it, and speak a lot of languages in 2002. Decoding that information and bringing and anchoring that information by sharing it in a simpler way, with the people that cross the path and the people that are online, in the online platform. So sort of in a way being the spokesperson of a lot of galactic and intergalactic information through the language. And doing sound activations also, because these two energies came at the same time, the sound and the light language, when they arise with my walk-in soul in 2002. So it was just a gradual system, and then that took me to doing a whole of healing work and session work and collective group work, where to activate the DNA and activate the light language, and assist people to return to their center, to their essence first. Working through their shadow aspects, working through discernment, how to discern whether these frequencies that they are receiving or these accesses that they have with other planets or other collectives are really genuine. They are really of a pure source. So bringing that awareness to the group work and the events and workshops that will run in different parts of the world. And now really, so on the planetary level, I was really it's like there's a lot of timeline leaders, doing this work. And you could say that, I was doing that work for a while, and my last project is actually in February, and that's it. So already we've been given, within source, within our own source, we've been accessing now new assignments, you can say.
Yeah. And what is that? I mean, how has your role changed in the last few months?
So now
what is
so it's changing, and but in the last, I would say in the last 2 months, it's changed to be more global and more community, so speaking to communities and bringing community together in terms but still using the light language and using sound, the harmonic frequencies to do that, at group levels, and taking that on a sort of a road show. It's not a show, but a road trip. So going physically, not just online, going physically from country to country, and sharing these circle of light gatherings where we share the activations of the languages, and people ask questions. But it's a very informal type of setup, and people are either instantly activated in terms of the Kundalini, which it can happen, or they very speedily activated in terms of the languages that they start speaking and writing and drawing, which was not happening before. In the past month, I've had that experience with many people, and these were people that were awakening and and having some sort of perception, but definitely not intermediary or advanced, and it happened very, very quickly.
I think that seems to be a pretty good representation of many things energetically. I mean, this expansion over the last, you said the 17th, so that was 11 days ago. Yes, I mean, I don't even remember, but I can tell you over the last 10 or 11 days, there's been a lot of, and I won't say extreme energy in a bad way at all. I'm seeing people, there's some extremes, projection, all kinds of stuff, but people are pulling out of it right away. So what you're describing, their capacity to, it's quickening. It's quickening.
It's a quickening. They see it straight away, and they'll say, I'm overcompensating, so I'm using my ego mind. And these are people that are, coming out of mainstream, basically entering in a spiritual awakening in a very fast way, but already very aware. So there is a shifting of the assemblage point. And the assemblage point, I like this term, it's a Naga term, from the Toltec tradition, but it's really, it's your point of awareness that has shifted, but it's not our point of awareness that has shifted. It's the planetary point of awareness that has shifted substantially. Yeah. So it has created the space, for faster, for a speed up, an acceleration of this energy. And also what I've noticed also, it's an acceleration of creative energy. I mean, the amount of art technology that is being shared, the way people are now tapping into that technology, into those art pieces and reading them, where before they would send many emails and many text messages to say, what am I supposed to do with this code? Now
you're talking about the graphics that you do.
Yeah, the light codes. But not only mine. Collective light codes. People are reading them and they are receiving their healings. They are perceiving what's going on. They know it's an activation. You're not talking to the layman anymore. You're talking to an awakened society almost that it's coming through, streaming through. And this has really changed. I perceived the change in the last 2 months. And of course, there's been remarkable changes also within myself, so that if my assemblage point has changed, my expanded perception also sees us in a different timeline,
and as the individual goes to the collective, and I agree with you totally. Christine Green just expressed some gratitude. You're very welcome for my role in this. But what I wanted to bring up, she says,
thank you so much.
yeah, bringing the dawn of the divine feminine. And so I think, with what you're describing, we used the term on the last show, fast track, but and you're talking a new assemblage point. But I just want to recognize those like you who've been doing this work for so long, and again, thank them. But also the thing is to understand that all that work that having been done by so many of y'all for so many years was breaking down energetic doors so other people could move through this with a more rapid expansion, which is what we're starting to see right now. I wanted to ask you, I wanted to ask you something else. I wanted to ask you, because I know a lot of people obviously around the world with the work I do, your recall and your experience in the galactic is pretty unique. Now, what has that been like in the last few weeks or the last month or so? What has
it's been, like I say, surreal, because it's usually I am sort of bilocating, for a better term, into a space where I'm attending meetings, and I have the memory of that. But I would say in the last 2 weeks, what has happened is that I have been visited. The energies are coming, so that the meeting is taking place in my place. So I am in presence, in local place, and there is a council meeting taking place, or there is a whole lot of luminous beings, interacting and actually explaining the assignments and the rescripting that is taking place, and the new roles, and they materialize and dematerialize, and then leave in the ship, and the ship is outside. So that is an experience that has happened before, in Lake Titicaca, when I was in several times, but not often. No, not often. And now it's like you see I feel that presence all the time. I interact with that presence all the time. So there is a sort of an embodiment, the way I was explained by my higher consciousness also understood it that way, and the human understood that there's been a merging of this intergalactic presence of all my aspects into one, into the human. So there's no separation between the human and the intergalactic aspects. So and that shifts the assignment also to an intergalactic platform. So a new weaving of grids. So I had my plan, the human plan was to finish the timeline work, by February. No more grid, no more. And now there's a whole lot of grid work, which is new, So more grid work is coming, but this is now a weaving of the worlds, because this is not only about planet Earth. That's what I was explained very clearly, and I my higher consciousness now integrated very clearly that this is about all platforms, the whole cosmos, all the planets, all the galaxies, everything is changing, and simultaneously. So there's this big, the shift is happening everywhere. So there's a let's say a demand or a need for a weaver of worlds and experienced grid workers and gatekeepers to actually weave new worlds. There will be new galaxies that are coming into revelation. There are galaxies that have been shown to be there, but not being seen because of the veils that we didn't have access points for those galaxies. So there's a lot of grid work to be done, new grid work, to be done in planet Earth, because there's been a lot of damage. But at the same time, whatever we do here, and I certainly felt that in the call with the light language group, when we did the healing of the oceans and the healing of the earth, that we were weaving new grids in the ocean beds, basically, as we were doing the language exchange, and in the planet there was an expansion. In the interplanetary platforms, there was an expansion of other grids. So I could see many grids coming online, and necessary that takes you to new worlds, to new planets, also new language needed, new language to be designed, so you have a skill set as a soul, that is now being ignited at this point where this shift took place. That's very different than the one that you had up to now. So it's open to you. You have access to that, and you'll be activated to remember that. And it might take you to physics and science where you've never been in physics and science, for example. And it might take you to spend more time in the intergalactic, in planetary bodies, more time there than on Earth. So then the question arises, which my question to my team, or I could say my team, which is me, but it's a team that we work with, is how is that going to take place? If there is a transition, conscious transition between the Earth plane and the intergalactic, and more time is spent on the other side, then the human mind wants to know, where the base is going to be, and if the base is going to be more on the galactic platform, and as access, coming up and down, how is that going to work? And these are all obviously questions that the human requires, but they are not questions anymore that your source consciousness requires. So there hasn't been disturbance, about, or even anxiety about this information that was received, whether before I would be quite disturbed, I would feel, the human side would feel quite disturbed because and a bit unsettled, whether the body was leaving, what was actually happening. Must I say, plan my affairs and let go, of things on the side,
arrange for my departure.
My departure.
This is good though, because a couple things I want to point out. One is that you bring up a really good point about the human requires, I would say, desires to know what the hell, how's this. But the thing is, the information in memories are coming in so quickly that we don't even, like you said, there's no more angst, there's no more, there's no more imbalance in that we're not understanding it. We know we're getting it. I think the other thing that really jumps out to this month, which what you're talking about, I'm aligned with that, and the people I'm working with are too. And what that is that this alignment of all the multidimensional aspects, or our teams, which is, like you said, is ourselves, and they're aligning. I had something happen to me about 10-12 days ago where they all aligned, going back to the original, I guess, like oversoul group or whatever you call it. I'm not good on these terms, but so I'm seeing that, and the last part of it, what it all equals to, is that this is no longer, to me, it feels like it's no longer just an Earth transition. This is having an effect, and we've kind of known that universally, but I'm starting to see this thread of this relation this relationship, or I should say relationships, and how they're all connected together. And so I'm having more recall with these councils and that type of thing, out of body and that type of thing. I'm not remembering everything, but I can feel the energy, and that energy is not, something we can express like really in human terms, but there seems to be a broader I don't want to say a broader objective, but maybe we have the ability to see and feel the extremes of our efforts, I guess is what I'm saying. And that's really exciting. Somebody made the comment too that your artwork has is really indicative over the last 2 weeks of where you've been, and you've done a lot of amazing stuff, but this stuff that you just sent over to me is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's absolutely.
And that started with quite a surreal episode, which I shared with you and with a couple of people that I work around the world. It kick-started with the team being in my lounge, being in my home, and discussing the grids and weaving the grids. So weaving, it's like a project team weaving grids. Let's weave grids so that the repair is accelerated. Let's weave grids. Let's weaving grids for to release the overlapping of the timelines as fast as possible. So that memories don't get jammed. And the whatever is in combustion or in contraction or in a jamming situation that gets the dissonance gets released, and then there's a resonance, an harmonic resonance that comes in, so that people don't feel that they're going crazy, because everything is upside down.
That's a really good point. Last night here, where I'm at, last night there was a noise, and the beautiful sister that I rent the room from. She's been here 35 years on the island, and she came in and said, "What is that noise?" And I talked about it on the last show, but this noise was like that cricket noise, but it was really loud, and it didn't sound from this planet, basically, to use human terms. But
yes.
That's what I kind of received, was like, it was because I get the tones, a lot of people do, and they're usually tones of confirmation, validation, listen up, sometimes information. But this tone seemed to be like some type of anchoring, some type of stabilizing. And I felt like it was an affirmative that it's here and it's not leaving. It was like a level up, or something. I can't really explain it.
It's an harmonic. It's like an harmonic, and my guidance was that this tone, this harmonic, is an harmonic resonator. Just visualize that. And anything that is in dissonance within your body, within the planet, is harmonized and resonated, is harmonized and rebalanced and into equilibrium again, and then it's reformed. That's the next stage, is reformed, is restored, reformed, restructured, and then rebirthed again. And the imprint that's left behind in the timeline is erased. So there's no imprint, because if there is an imprint, then there's been imprints all the time left behind, even though you move in and you shift into another timeline, another reality, because the imprint is still there. There's still some amount of contraction that in the memory, our memories run, and are you processing also? And the processing is not the right word, because we're no longer processing anything. We now embracing everything, and because the imprints are collapsing, depending on what vibration and level you are in, but they are collapsing. They have the potential to be erased now. This as yes, we are in a different platform, because we can move on, embracing the vastness, and the unlimitedness of who we are. in a different way, and things are quick. The shift is quick, as long as we really stay very stay in the feeling body, in the heart body. That's, I think that's one of the keys, in that peaceful, it's a still point where there is the neutrality, but there is also that expansion of love. It's like, and there's the trust. I think what I found in my particular situation in those days that were intense, the trust was there before the love was there. So because there was so much trust, that this was precisely what needs to happen in this now moment to me, and that my phone lighting up and showing me 2 pictures of myself just like that,
let's go back. Let's go back to that.
I mean, that was like a jolt of light.
Oh my God, that was trippy. When I saw those pictures pop up on my phone, I freaked out.
I mean, and I was shown as myself as an ancient builder, that has really an alien face,
and just so people understand, can you just kind of run us through what happened there?
So what happened was, I was working through the grids, these new grids, because there was a need to do a whole lot of grids that were being activated for the hurt healing, and for the interplanetary healing, and they were threefold, and for the waters. Okay, and I was drawing, actually. I was busy drawing. And so the phone was on the side of the table. And then suddenly, and the music was on, because I always put music on, so it gives me this peaceful, atmosphere, you can say. And then suddenly this jolt of light comes in, and I feel like there's a pressure on my head, and then, I'm sort of lit up, but I look at the phone and it's all lit up, white and gold light. And I thought, well, that's weird, so I pick up the phone. And as I pick up the phone is on photos, okay? And 2 photos appear, 3 photos actually. One, and they're all white and gold. So, it's three pictures of myself, because telepathically I received the message. This is your solar aspect. This is your ancient builder aspect, and this is your pharaoh aspect. Your solar pharaoh aspect. And that one disappeared, the first one, from the phone as I picked up the phone, but the other 2 remained. And I look very different than, isn't it?
You did look different. You look familiar too, though. That's what was kind of scary.
Then the message was, it's now time. It's the solar embodiment. You in the plasma field, and it's everything is now, the conditions are united, basically, for the next work to start, and we're moving in, and they moved him. We're moving in. It's like we're moving in.
Yeah, and I'm getting that too. That's like, okay, it's like we're awake enough, get to work, and it's not like a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It's a very much in the flow. What do you think? What do you think about 12/12 and solstice coming up into the year? I mean, it's been a hell of a year. The stuff that you're talking about right now is pretty much how the year's gone. It's just every month it gets faster and faster and faster. The awareness gets expands more and more. What do you think December's going to be like?
There's more of a stabilization and alignment and attunement of this huge shift, but there is an heightened shift in the last, I would say, before 12/12, you will see a huge, quite a huge peak again, in order to bring the alignment of the fire. It's like the alchemical fire of the masculine and the feminine energies within ourselves, within the planet. That is very important. So we're looking at the heart matrix, you know, within the human being, that has changed. You know, so there's been a mutation change inside that. You're looking at the Kundalini that has activated the fire. You know, the dragons have been instrumental in actually bringing in that fire, because that fire not only purged all the darkness in a swift way.
Can you repeat that? Did you just say the dragons? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
the dragons. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, what was...
the pearl white. I mean, the dragon aspect of myself is Uta.
No,
you know,
yeah,
so but
I get
many
that.
people are having
Yeah,
episodes with the dragons.
yeah, it's been like
You
the
know,
last 4 or 5 weeks. It's been, I
yes,
mean, I've
it's
been
been.
having dragons. I'm still having them, but the thing is, I noticed all around the world people were talking dragon energy. You
Yes,
know?
because it's very much present here. You know, they released not only their children, you know, that because they were not punished, but they were banned. Contained. Let's say, not banned. It's not the right word, because I'm getting not the right word. It's contained, contained, and the time is now for them to actually come through, because they hold the alchemical powers, but they hold the ability to, in a swift, accelerated way, erase the purging, erase the darkness, and heal the grids, heal the DNA within us, activate the DNA and catapult it. You know,
Yeah.
because
That resonates a lot with what I've gone through. What it seemed to me was, it reminded me a lot of the Kali energy, the
yes,
Kali
yes,
feminine
yes,
energy, and that it was. In fact, I wrote a piece on it, and I said of all the essences that I've come across in 7 years, the dragon energy is the most powerful energy I've come across, because it was like that Kali energy, in that it was going to come in and grab your shadows at the deepest level, because of this profound, incredible, unique love. Is what I
yeah,
felt like. It's just
yeah.
like this, but at the same time, a lot of stability and anchoring, and like something like a huge veil was lifted or something. I walk out here now in the land, and I see them everywhere. They're
Yeah,
everywhere. They're
yeah.
like I don't know. I mean, I can look in the jungle, and I see basically.
It's been unleashed, and everyone's got their own drag. Some people working with two aspects of dragons. Some people have only one. And it's been unleashed. You said it correctly. It's so expansive, this energy, and it's coming to really assist us. It's assisting us, but it's fast tracking everything, because they are incredible alchemists, and incredible creators, and they beautiful beings. You see them in the
Very,
clouds. You see
very.
them everywhere. You see
Yeah.
them everywhere.
And as ancient as anything, I've
Yes,
ever
they
come
are.
across. They're just
Yes,
like, it was
yes,
very much a you know very much a feminine mother goddess type of energy too. And I'm not saying there wasn't masculine involved with it, but I had some pretty intense things happen to me in the first week that I was here in Kauai, and
mm,
but I even had one appear in front of me,
wow,
which involved the wind and the it was just very, very incredible. In fact,
mm-hmm.
this green dragon, it just appeared in front of me. Her face was right in front of me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she merged with me.
Yeah,
She
really.
just came right into my root chakra, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa. But it was an information, download. But it was also this incredible, like I've never seen or felt before, love, like just
Yes,
like, well, I can only describe it as like womb, like the womb, like that
yeah.
type of love, like the untainted, or I don't know, just everything, the whole universe in that moment. But yeah.
So
Yes.
so yeah, so that is so present, you know. Then you have the whales and the dolphins that are really, you know, when we there was so much. There was a huge activation from them during the time of the healing of the oceans. You know that many groups were working together, working in different places. So those are actually very active already. Then you getting nature spirits that are coming in, and the elves are being are a force that is very ancient, that is now being activated. You know, I've just had another friend of mine that said, well, you know, I started speaking like an elf, you know, and I didn't know this aspect of myself. And there's so much is happening because there's so much there's more access points that have been created within yourself with this massive purging and erasure, because it's not only the purging of the darkness and the cleaning of the timelines, it's also the erasure, you know, the it's like a wiping it out, you know
what?
You wipe it out.
That's a great point. I want to make sure that we're clear on that. That's a fantastic point. And that is that, you know, I'm going to use an example, like, and we all deal with this. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm talking about borders. I'm talking about what I call lawless laws or rules, regulations. Got to have an identification. You got to, these things, or even the debt system, you know, the finance system. These things are truly timelines that are collapsing. And when you say erasure, that's what you're talking about. There is, as we step into more and more of this, which we're seeing evidence of in what you're talking about with the elves, with the dragons, with the whales and the dolphins. By the way, I'm starting to hear the whales and the dolphins here where I'm at. And but anyway, you know,
so nice.
The point is, though, is this is the type of transition or reality we're going to have in this physicality, is these things being removed because they don't really exist. They were not founded on the pure intention of love. And the only thing that's going to keep them here is our continued participation within them, you know?
Yes. And, you know, and acceptance of it, you know, it's like if we participate, we accept it, you know, even if we don't voice it, we accept it. Silence is consent. You know, we are also participating actively in it, but it's even falling apart. It's for even the people that are in mass consciousness, they are awaking to that, and they're saying we have zero tolerance for this. We are not accepting this anymore. So we are seeing a huge surge of that, and one of the functions of the, you know, the dragon aspect that has been working through me, you know, and with me as an aspect of myself also, has been very clear that one of the big roles is to precisely precipitate that, you know, to actually collapse the machine, collapse this operating system that's totally outdated, you know.
That's right.
And manipulated.
That's right. And that's very important. I think that's going to be very important in 2019, that we, like, what did you say a minute ago? Silence is participation.
It's consent. Silence is consent.
Yeah.
So you know, because you're not saying anything, you're in the fence or whatever, you know.
I think it's also going to come down to you know, actually making a choice at a conscious level with our actions beyond our thoughts. Okay, beyond our thoughts, because we know that's where it all lives and dies. But my point is like to defy these 3D illusionary control mechanisms. And I don't mean on a radical basis in terms of like physical demonstrations and boycotts and all that, but what I mean is a radical for where we've come from. In other words, I will not participate with that anymore. And I think it's going to bring people to a place where they have to make in the old vernacular, in the old paradigm, a hard decision. But This, I think, is also becoming easier for us to do because more and more people are doing it, and because the universal energies, such as the dragons, and people are mentioning here, the butterflies are mentioning, the elves are mentioning, they're all coming. They're coming to the party
to assist. They're coming to the party, and we are, the guidance was also very strong, while they were around, in physicality, to say that it's up to us to gather together in communities and actually make the changes and just present the changes completed, so you gather communities that are aligned, that are attuned, that are activated to the new way, the new earth, and you actually present a new structure of society, a new structure of community that is going to be implemented, and then action it. Don't talk about it, action it, put it into place,
I don't usually do this, but I don't really ever do this. I'm being told to say something along the lines of what you're saying, because there's more than the conventional. Well, no, that's just more proof. This is proof. And what I'm getting is that if you look at if you look at the false flags over the last year and a half or 2 years, they don't work. You look at the Vegas shooting, you look at the Orlando thing, you look at the caravan that's coming to the southern border of the United States, which if you look at that, they're not working. And what I'm getting is to just state that. And what that is, the reason for stating that is that this is part of them all coming to the party now. These forces that comprise us, that are part of us, have been activated within us, therefore are having an external effect. And that's basically what I was being told. So
that's what's happening. And then there's also the pull for action, but in community, because there's so many of us now. You have mass consciousness, you have critical mass, not mass consciousness, you have critical mass. So there's so much it can be done, but
I agree with you. Yeah.
So it's time to do it, not to talk about it. I mean, I was given a lecture myself, I received, it's really, it's about community. It's about the global environment. It's about making the incredible changes, get together with communities in the physical, get together on, you can do it online, but it's not the same thing. Go local and make the changes.
There's a meme out. I don't know if I guess it's a meme or a post, and I think it's in Romania. And it shows a bunch of people standing silently on the street, and I think they're actually blocking intersections. And they said it's a new form of protest, and the governments don't know what to do about it, and the people just stand in silence. And it was an amazing picture.
It's amazing.
But I agree with you. That's another thing is let me ask you something first.
Okay.
Can you come back on tomorrow?
No, I can come back on tomorrow.
Because we're going to run out. We really want to run through your artwork and the light language, but this is we've only got 9 minutes left, but this is information is important. But you're right. And that's another thing where I'm seeing the reciprocation. You're right about the fact that in the physical, more than just online, I don't even want to use the word need to come together. We are coming together. And that's another place that I'm seeing they're coming to the party aspect, as these codes have been opened in enough of us and have hit critical mass, is that the universe is creating ways for us to come together, which is mind blowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's mind blowing. I mean, I checked, for instance, as an example, tickets to Hawaii, not because I was going to come here, but because to reroute Morgan. She used to go through the Middle East, and it was like 30 hours. And I was like, well, why don't she just go through Hawaii? It's 20 hours. And so I would look at the prices, and they were exorbitant. You know, they were very expensive. And then whenever I got the call after I went to the Goddess Gathering in D.C., I got the call, hey, you're going to Hawaii. I'm like, well, how am I going to go to Hawaii? Well, you know, I was driving down the road with Michael Van Patten, so I looked up looked up for a ticket, and it was $400. I'm like, there's no way. You know, how does that happen? And I've heard other people talk about the same thing. So we're being assisted, we're being supported. It's palpable. We can see, touch, and feel it. It's happening. And these codes that have awakened in us, particularly these dragons, have just, but it's universal.
It's universal, and it's very, very quick. It was seen, you know, I got a glimpse at the Circle of Light gathering in the physical. It was pretty small group, nothing big, but, you know, it was so quick, the changes that were taking place, and also how the group gathered. And what happened with the release of information sharing afterwards. Also a new way kicked in, you know. As facilitators, you know, we have been obviously, we had to adapt to change as things were moving of gatherings. And these new changes, which I want to focus on the next time we get together, is the new changes. You know, things are being imparted or information is being shared as an exchange, you know, so there's information from participants to us, there's information from us to the active, you know, we all actively involved in the information bubble, and we just retrieving things from each other, and we adding to it. So you can have a beautiful agenda for your meeting, but throw the agenda away, because throw it away, you know, because it is not going to happen this way. You're going to be guided in such a different way, even in the after work, you know, because if you're running gatherings in the 4-week cycle, there is work in between. Forget it. There's something else that comes in and says, no, this is not the new way, that everything is going to unfold, and your participants that are actively involved, they are giving you the suggestions also. So it's not that they are waiting for you to teach, you know, because teaching is obsolete, you know, at the moment. There's an exchange of information, because both of us, you know, in the exchange can retrieve information from different levels, yes, but still can retrieve information and bring it to the center, to the focus center. So it's a very different way of doing things. You know,
it is very different. It's very different. And I think another part of this that's coming to a head now is what I refer to as 5D commerce, which is started with me in the summer when you and I had that experience at the same time, but from the Arcturians. But my point is that those who are, you know, I don't know what we want to call it, you know, first waivers, or I don't know, whatever, who are grid keepers, light keepers.
Yeah.
But those that are doing the work, remember we struggled. How, you know, how do we do this, and how do we get paid?
We did.
But here's the thing: I'm seeing more and more people. I'm not, you know, living like a king. You know, I mean, all I'm saying is that it is a new way. It's a new way of living, and it requires a faith in action, and but it's like being provided for, and I think people are starting to feel it and realize it and know it, and are being more comfortable with it. And I can look at you, and I know that without even asking you. That's where you're at. That's where I'm at, and I see more and more people like that.
And again, it's like you say, you know, I'm not swimming in the abundance pool, but abundance exists in my field. You know, things are easy. There is another way of exchanging. There's another way of perceiving the energy exchange, and there's a lot of you know, unconditionality in the giving. That is one of the recipes, and there's a lot of gratitude. But it's not only from this source; it's from everyone that's interacting in the pool, you know, that you are in, because that makes the difference, you know. So it's interesting what's happening, and it's exciting at the same time, you know. So I don't know, what are you doing for time?
Yeah, I have another show in 30 minutes I have to prepare for. But yeah, so can you come back on tomorrow at the same time?
Yes.
We don't have to.
What?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
this is
same time,
yeah,
same time. And then and there's a tomorrow there is a collective group, a light language group that I would like to attend, led by Denise Chastwick and Ramona Lappen. And I'm always I'm always supporting those groups, you know, that because it's important that we commune, you know, and we exchange, you know. So now, I think that's at 9 o'clock. So
that's at 9, and this would be at 7:30. So
okay, then it's perfect.
Yeah, we could go right into that. We could go right into that and
into the new way of gathering, you know, and what has come out of this nucleus of this was an experiment. You know, not that I wanted to experiment, but I found myself experimenting, you know, in this, you know, it was like, you know, being in a movie set and not have a script, you know.
What does Lisa Brown say? She says, at the human level, it's an experience, I think, and at the galactic level, it was an experiment.
Yeah, it's an experiment. Yeah. Anyway,
Trina Jake Apostadiro is in Hawaii. So I don't know what island you're on. I'm over in Kauai at the moment. Yeah, so we'll get together tomorrow again at 7:30.
Okay.
Ramona was on last week. For those of you,
yes,
who don't know.
I know.
You might want to check that.
I was very happy with that.
Yeah, that was the second time she's come on. She's fascinating. I told her, I'm glad you reminded me of that because my 3D brain doesn't work too well. But so we'll meet at the same time. And remember, when I put the post up, everybody, the time that it shows is going to be congruent to whatever your device time zone is. So it gets a little tricky sometimes, but I was reminded of that 3 times today.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
I love everyone. Very nice to be here. Ciao, ciao.
See you with Michael Abramson in half an hour. All right.